بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Thanks so much everyone for joining me in this session today. I'll be your host. My name is Imam Muhammad from Maaher Academy. So excited to be in the call to be in this lesson with you all. I want to show you quickly today, Bismillah. I know a lot of people, if it's you right now that's struggling to learn to recite the Quran, many people have learned for years and years without results, and they don't realize that something very simple as the letters could be actually impeding their level of recitation of the Quran. You might be making simple mistakes of having to have tough time recognizing the letters when they're transformed in words of the Quran. And that's why today I want to show you so you can stop sweating, you can stop feeling unmotivated to learn to read the Quran as an adult, or you can help your child that's struggling down there, that's feeling Quran is hard and difficult to learn to recite themselves very easily. And so we do have a revolutionary program here. It's called the Accelerated Quran Reading Program for the kids. We call it the Quran Fluency Accelerator Program for adults. So tap the link below this video and check out your own option there. If it's for a child, click to book a call with me so we can discuss the modalities of your child's program. If it's for yourself as an adult, click the link below. You see the Quran Fluency Accelerator course. Sign up for just $47 to get started, to have access to the entire curriculum of Tajweed, quizzes, practices, and having lifetime access to me, to the course, and having real live conversation every Sundays here at 5 p.m. UK time and at 12 p.m. Eastern every Sunday. So going to the topic of discussion, we've started discussing the letters of the Quran for the last few weeks, and I feel it's time for us to go over and do some real practice. This is exactly how we do for students in our program. Kids as young as 5 years old, 6 years old, they learn to recite the Quran themselves pretty much quick in 4 months. I mean, this is something that's not just for a child, from like hundreds of students for the last more than 5 years right now. So if you want to be part of that, comment this video below so we can reach out to you. One of my staff can get across to you to give you access to information that you might need to get started with for your child or for yourself, inshallah. So I'm gonna share something on the screen here. I would like you all where you all joining this session from. If you are watching this session, maybe today or later on, just type your location in the comments, say UK or the US or Canada or Germany, wherever you're joining the call, this lesson from or watching from today. Just type below this video and let us know. So because if you need any more information, we can send across to you what you need to know to get started in this Quran Reading Fluency Program. So, one very important thing that everyone needs to know right now is how many of the Quran Tajweed letters do we have? There's a very simple information that people actually misunderstood, and this is why a lot of people up until today they cannot recite the Quran themselves because they've not even gotten to understand the letters perfectly. How many are the letters of the Quran? The Arabic letters might be different from the Tajweed letters. So go into all this today, inshallah. You see my screen here. I say identifying difficult Quran letters in difficult words. I mean, sometimes it's see the way the Quran is written. It's depend on who actually the font they've used to write it. It's the same words, but it's like when you write English, right? Um, or you type in different fonts in English. Some fonts are really hard to read. Some styles they call it, right? They're really hard to identify the letter that's there unless you're used to having to see that very often. And so we're gonna look into that today and check from where we started last week. Where we stopped last week, we stopped at going through the letters and going through the stages, positions of letters, and it talks about something called the naughty letters of the Quran. And I know right now, if you've attended the lessons I had last week or you've watched the replay, by now you should know what the naughty letters. So meaning you have no excuse. Like I tell people, some people do not want to pay for Quran learning, or they don't even think it's really important to pay for it. But if it's you like that, you have that mindset, that's fine. But to learn to recite the Quran, you need someone to teach you, right? You don't have to teach to learning with a ghost or with someone. You need someone that will actually create their time for you to learn, right? But I'm actually volunteering here to teach you all. And so, I mean, if anyone is not willing to learn, that's fine. But if you feeling the need for yourself to learn to recite perfectly, we have the Quran Fluency Accelerator course there below this video. Just click on the link for the Quran Fluency Accelerator course. It's just $47. You're able to have access to everything here. So in case you're not able to catch up on these videos on Sundays at 5 p.m. London time at 12 p.m. Eastern, you can go back in there and get to watch these videos much easily in sequential order. I've done it. For the next 10 weeks or less than that, you can learn to recite the Quran perfectly yourself before Ramadan comes in a month. It's enough for those who are really serious. So the letters are having different shapes. The naughty letters have, there are six of them, and they have peculiarities, which we talked about last week. Um, the first question I asked earlier is how many letters of the Quran do we actually have? There are 29 Tajweed letters. And the difference is Hamza and Alif. I actually explained this in 2 weeks ago. I explained why Hamza and Alif are different letters, and I feel like they have different functions. So Hamza is a single letter that comes out on its own. It's behaved like any other letter, but it can have to be at the bottom of an Alif, on the top of a Wa, on the top of a Ya. They gotta get pronounced as Hamza. So Alif is only used for elongation. That's the difference. So Alif also is pronounced from the Jawf, which is used for med. Then go watch the video 2 weeks ago, which I did. I have explained this more in detail, so you can get access to understand that very better, right? And the yeah has different shapes as well. This will be a recap of what I said last week, and then we're gonna go to the quiz to identify some letters in the words of the Quran. So just pay attention to these because all these words you see here, we'll use them in the practice I'll do right now with you all. So the kha, you see it's on the top there. The kha has, you say it has three shapes generically, but when they start joining, they start being part of a word, it becomes a nightmare for a lot of students, even adults or even beginners. This is dal here. It has three letters, three shapes in the beginning, at the end, and whatever, in the middle, in the raw, and all this. And like all this we revised last week. So Hamza is used to be part of an alif sometimes, or it can be on its own. Alif cannot be on its own. It doesn't even have a sound to itself. It's only used for elongation, right? So that's one thing you need to know. There are 29 Quran Tajweed letters. You might say there are 28 Arabic letters because people think Hamza and Ya will be the same thing. It's not. In the Tajweed of the Quran, Hamza has a different role than Alif. Okay, it's a different, and the most fun part of it, the Hamza comes from a different articulation point. So like we mentioned 2 weeks ago, and the Alif comes from a different articulation point. So there's no way they didn't even intersect. They don't even come from the same, region. They don't come from the jaw together. Alif comes from the oral cavity. So it's used for med, right? There are three med letters that come from the mouth. Alif med, waw med, ya med. The useful elongation, right? So Hamza comes from the bottom of the throat. Aqsa al-halq, right? That's where Hamza comes from. Together with the ha in the same region, right? So that's the difference, and that's why Hamza and Alif are different. And you learn more advanced connection between them later on, inshallah. So we have all this. So this is ha, jim, tha. You see, this are showing the positions. I mentioned about the two kind of tas last week, and I talk about the ta al marbuta, which is the round ta that has its own peculiarity. When we start learning to read words, we'll be stopping on letters having this, and you'll see how we'll learn to pronounce them, inshallah. So stay tuned. I'm really excited for any one of you that's excited, but you need to have a self-paced, monitored lesson, not just the one you do at your own pace. You will not learn that way. So that's why our reading fluency program here ensures consistency for students on our own part, and we want from the part of the student as well. So your child as little as 5, 6, 7 years old can learn to recite anywhere in the Quran themselves. How amazing would that be for you as a parent listening to me right now? I mean, if it's a goal that you have in mind that you think is necessary for a child, everyone have different priorities in life, right? So going forward, these are the summary of all the letters. So you see the ha has almost 5 shapes, and these shapes will exist in all the words of the Quran. Mostly if you are the type that's using, the Madani script, we call it Madani, style of script that's used to write the Quran. There's the Indo-Pak, style of, words and letters. You get to see that it's different. So I'm using the Madani script to show you this. It might be very similar to what you see in the Indo-Pak. So you need to realize that as well as a reciter of the Quran, get stick to one Quran and get to use it continuously, okay? Because you might get confused when you start using different Quran all the time, meaning the fonts of writing the letters might change, right? But it's the same letter, but it's just written a little bit different. So this is a yeah, it has almost 5 shapes as well. You can see this is a yeah here, and you might think, oh, I've not seen this ever before. This is a yeah. And this yeah is mostly used with ha, the ha of masculinity. It's used to denote masculinity, right? This ha is a damir of, مذكر. It's used together with it. We call it مد الصلة in the Tajweed, as we'll learn later on, inshallah. مد الصلة, we'll learn that. So it's used, but it's a ya. There's a ya, there's a ya, a ya can have the dot, and sometimes it's not have the dot for some reasons, which we're not going to explain why this ya is not having a dot, but has some, reasons when it doesn't have a dot. But it's going to be a ya. It's going to be a ya here, there's a ya here, there's a ya here as well. So now let's go and do some quiz and practice on these letters in the words of the Quran. Are you all excited? Just type yes in the chat there if you're really excited. So here is where we are going right now. And so you can see the exercise is pretty very simple, but it's really deep. It's deep. So before students in our reading fluency program, within the first 4 weeks, they need to be able to identify all these words and know, okay, these are the letters in this word. They need to be able to understand that, okay, these are the letters in this word. So this is gonna be what will move them to the week 5 and start reading the words of the Quran themselves. Instead of reading the words of the Quran themselves. Here, they only require to identify the letters. This kind of exercise is done towards the 4th week in the program for little girls and boys 5, 6 years old. So let's check we're gonna go through these four practices today, and we'll stop there. And so if you want to see more of these exercises in our Quran Fluency Accelerator course, we do have more of these practices that you can do yourself, and plus you're able to get a feedback, from me, from any other expert tutors we have as working with me here, in that Quran Fluency Accelerator course. So you'll be able to watch the videos of stuff like this and go through it in sequence without having to go to YouTube and getting distracted. You're able to watch it from a learning portal outside YouTube, outside social media, so you can be able to be focused. Right now on YouTube, you can get distracted with some other things on your phone, but when you're doing it on a learning portal as an adult, you'll be able to actually get along without having to get distracted. Plus, once you finish watching the quizzes, you will also be able to, once you finish watching the quizzes, watching the videos, be able to do quizzes, be able to do some practice and get feedback. So learning the Quran difficult letters is really important. I call it Quran recitation jam. So if you want to avoid being stuck in recitation, you need to understand how some letters can be difficult to identify. And that's why you need to sign up right now to join the Quran Fluency Accelerator course. If you need that, or your child needs to learn reading fluency better, you need to sign up to the Accelerated Quran Reading Program for the child as well. Okay. So let's do some of this practice for the next 10 minutes, and then we'll end the class, inshallah. Okay. So here we have these 4 words. And this is an example. So you right there looking at me or seeing the screen or later on, how many letters do you see in this word? And so if you think you're a guru in recitation of Quran, you need to be able to identify all these words here. Okay. So tell me, who can guess how many letters do we have in this word? These are, this is a word of the Quran. So it's written this way, many fonts of the Quran. So how many letters do you have there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so we have 5 letters, right? So we have 5 letters in this word. And I would like you all to see for me and check out this. The first letter is a Y from the right. Arabic letters come and start from the right. But the big challenge for a lot of you right now will be, what's the second letter and what's the third letter? This one and this one are clear to you all. This is a fa, right? This one is a dha, which is the 5th letter. But here now, you have a letter that has a dot on top, and you have a letter that has a sukun. So which one is the second letter? So here now, you need to know that a noon is that letter that comes after the wa. And how do you know that? You would know that because no letter, if this one is supposed to be a kha, the dot of the kha will be on the kha. See, it means there's a second layer of letter before the kha, or before the ha. So this one is the second letter. Look at this. This is the second letter. So because a noon can join together with a letter after it, so it has only one dot. But look at the letter that comes below it, meaning there are 2 letters here. There are 2 letters here. So the noon comes first, and look at the ha. So this is the ha coming after it. See that? And that's why I said you need to be really aware of these letters from what we did earlier here. The ha, that's how the shape of the ha looks like. And you don't want to actually overcome, say that's not, see how it looks like here? So that's a ha. That's what? That's a ha. So that's why this one is a ha. But what about the one that comes before the ha? That is a noon. It's only having one dot. So the dot is on top. No letter aside from noon has this kind of position here because this is not gonna be a ba, it's not gonna be a fa, it's not gonna be a ha, it's not gonna be a ta, it's not gonna be a jim, zain, whatever. It's not gonna be any of those, right? So that letter on top after the wa is the noon. So noon is the second letter, then ha is this third letter, fa is the fourth letter, and dha is the sixth letter. You see how we break down this? This is how you should be able to recognize this in microseconds for you to be a fluent Quran reciter. If you cannot recognize those letters in microseconds, you will struggle to recite the Quran, and it's gonna be frustrating sometimes and discouraging. Okay, and that's why you need to sign up to the Quran Fluency Accelerator course to get more practice and hands-on in this kind of exercise like this. Okay, the second example is this word here. So this is pretty very straightforward. I know some might still not get it correctly. So how many letters do you see in this word here? How many letters do you see in this word? Okay, I'll count to five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are three letters in this word. So there are three letters there. And the first letter, you see, you shouldn't even make that mistake anymore. This is supposed to be a ha. Okay, this will be a ha. And then what letter will come after that? That will be a meme, right? The meme will be after the ha and the lam, right? So students, once they finish this kind of reading at the fourth week practice, so get practice right from week 1, week 2, week 3. So this is practical steps, not just your child learning to memorize the words. And this is what a lot of students do in many classes. In some other classes, aside from ours, I feel, yes, they are learning to recite the Quran, but they're actually memorizing, meaning the kid or the student is learning to run before they can walk. Then when you learn to run before you can walk, meaning your steps will really be shaky, your foundation will really be weak. You can easily fall back quickly because you've not even learned to maintain the basic thing, which is walking, and you want to run. Okay? You see a little boy that wants to learn to run, but they cannot walk. What happens to them? They fall down. So when you are a student who has not have a solid foundation of the shapes of the letters of the Quran, when you start reciting the Quran, then you're gonna get stuck. And so that's what you need to avoid by understanding the difficult letters of the Quran and knowing how to recognize the letters of the Quran in microseconds. And that's how you can be able to recite a whole page of the Quran within 3 to 4 minutes, right? And that's the speed that you want. And this is really brings joy into your heart. Ramadan is coming right now. How do you want to recite the Quran and get confident in yourself with this goal? And so this is why you need to sign up right now to the Quran Fluency Accelerator course if you are an adult. If you are having a child that wants to learn, click the link to sign up and join us in one of the parent demo calls to show you how your child will learn and sign up into the program, inshallah. So let's continue with this. I've done 2 practice of the difficult letters. We need to have to talk about the third one, which is the third word. So look at that word right away, okay, and check how many letters do you have in that word. How many letters? We have, let's say, oh no, I'm not gonna show you the rest of the words. It's gonna take a lot of time. If you join us in the Quran Fluency Accelerator course, you can be able to book for a one-on-one call and get to have a live session with me or any of the expert teachers in the academy here. So here we have how many letters. I'm going to count 1 to 5. All of you, I want you to put it in the chat. How many letters do you have there? How many letters do you have? Put it in the comments. Comment below. How many letters do you have in this word? Just comment below this video. How many letters do you have there? How many letters? Say it. I'll put it there. We have, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. So we have how many letters here? How many letters? We have 4 letters, right? We have 4 letters. 4 letters, right? So I want someone to tell me the first letter. I'm gonna wait for 5 seconds. Who's gonna tell me the first letter here? The letter has 2 dots at the bottom, and so what's that letter? I want someone to type it below this video here. What's the first letter in this word? Okay, we know it has 4 letters, but what's the first letter? The first letter is a ya. You see, it has 2 dots. So it's really kind of like finicky because it looks that it's under ha, and the ha cannot have 2 dots, right? What you need to look at when you're reciting the Quran again, and the second rule is that check from your right and see what letter has the haraka first. And check the haraka. So the haraka that you see, the symbols, which we're going to learn next week, inshallah, we start learning the symbols. That's the first thing to denote really how many letters do you have in word. And when you are not able to ascribe a haraka to a letter, you see four haraka, that should tell you maybe there are four letters in that word. Some words will not have some letters in some words will be sakin, they'll be maskun. Like we're gonna learn later on. They will not have a sound, you know, in some cases. You're not able to recognize those letters by just the haraka. You need to look into the structure itself. So this is a ya that comes before the ha. So this is a ya. Look at the ha. The ha is actually the one. So this dot, sometimes some Quran font will put it here, right? So that's a ya. Or it's gonna be like this. So it's gonna be at the bottom of both the ha and the ya. You see that? And so this is ya is the first letter, ha is the second, kaf is the third, and the mim is the fourth, right? So ya, ha, kaf, and the mim. So yahkuma, yahkuma, right? That's how it will be pronounced. So this is a ya here, right? Yeah. But because this one is a ha, the ha never and ever will never have two dots at the bottom. It doesn't even have a dot on the top either, let alone two dots at the bottom. So this is something that you need to be aware of. So when you see this, know that this is a ya, because the ya sometimes the dots can be put here in some fonts. They'll make it extend, do extend it, and then and do like this. Yahkuma, right? Don't mind my writing using with a pen, and the dot will be here, and then they have the ham. So yahkuma. Some will just make it the way it is here and put the dots at the bottom. So there are majorly two popular fonts that's used to print the Quran. In those days when there's no, like, even when before the sounds are actually put on the letters, people will read the Quran without those sounds. But not everyone can do that today. Okay. So you need to be really aware of this, and this really make your life easy by understanding those letters, similarities. All the exercise in this chapter here will really help you to cement your skill and help you cement your understanding of the letters of the Quran, right? And so yahkuma. So let's go to the last word, which will make us round up the session today. So we have how many letters here? So I want someone to actually tell me how many letters we have in that last word. So I'm gonna count 1 to 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many letters? Yep, we have 5 letters in the word. See, 5 letters. And it's pretty very easy. I think this word is one of the easiest one. We have one. We have the wa coming from the right. We have the ra. We have the ha. This one is the ha, and then we have the mim, and we have the ta. Okay, the ta al-marbuta. I will learn in the next module, next week, inshallah, how the ta al-marbuta is pronounced when you stop on it. So this is going to bring us to the end of this discussion today, and I hope and wish you all learned one or two things. Just to kind of give you a recap, when students do this in the classroom, they have to mark as a homework. We have a system that will upload this onto their learning portal, and they just trace it and identify the letters and the words. And this help us to cement learning of skills from students in our program. So you're really excited about this. You want to try to learn to recite the Quran. You yourself want to be a fluent Quran reciter. Do not hesitate to reach out to us. Let us know you have any question. I'll see you next week, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك ونشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت ونستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. See you next week. Bye.